Hello and welcome to Chatcraft English. I'm Sophie, and I'm so happy you pressed play today. Wherever you are right now, maybe walking outside, cooking at home, or just relaxing with your headphones, thank you for joining me. I know there are so many things you could be doing right now, but you chose to spend this time learning, improving, and growing. And that means a lot. Because learning English isn't just about words and grammar, it's about building a better version of yourself. One small step at a time. It's about becoming more confident. And sometimes it's also about facing something invisible, something that might be holding you back without you even realizing it. Today, we're going to talk about one of those invisible things, perfectionism. You may have heard that word before. Maybe you already know that it means wanting to be perfect, always trying to get everything just right. But today, we're going to look deeper. We're going to understand what perfectionism really is, how it shows up in your life, and why it quietly, silently slows you down. Yes, silently. That's what makes perfectionism tricky. It doesn't shout. It doesn't tell you clearly, stop learning. It just whispers things like, not yet, you're not ready. Wait until it's perfect. And when you listen to that voice, you end up waiting too long. Waiting to speak English. Waiting to try something new. Waiting until everything is perfect, which never happens. So you stay stuck. You think you're being careful, but in reality, you're just not growing. Because real growth doesn't come from perfection. It comes from action, from trying, from making mistakes, from getting a little bit better each day. If you're learning English, and I know you are, then this message is for you. Because I've seen so many English learners fall into the perfectionism trap. Maybe you've felt it too. Maybe you've stayed quiet in a conversation because you were afraid your sentence wasn't perfect. Maybe you've written a message, then deleted it, then rewrote it again and again, and still didn't send it. That's perfectionism, and it's time to break free. So in this episode, we're going to talk about what perfectionism is, how it hides, why it feels helpful at first, and how it actually works against your growth. We'll also talk about small, powerful ways to escape it, because you don't have to be perfect to be successful. You just have to keep moving forward. Let's start by asking a simple question. What is perfectionism really? Perfectionism is when you feel like you must always do everything perfectly, without mistakes, without flaws, without errors. It sounds like a positive thing at first. After all, don't we all want to do a good job? But perfectionism is not the same as doing your best. Doing your best means you try hard and you accept that mistakes will happen. That's normal. That's how we grow. Perfectionism, on the other hand, says, if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. It says don't even try unless you can do it 100% correctly. That's not helpful. That's harmful. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're writing a short email in English. Just a quick message to a friend or a coworker. But instead of writing and sending it quickly, you stop after every sentence. You double-check every word. You worry about the grammar, the punctuation, the spelling. You reread the same sentence 5 times. It takes you 20 minutes to write something that should have taken 2. Why? Because you're afraid of making a mistake. Because you want it to be perfect. That's perfectionism. And it doesn't just waste your time. It steals your confidence. It makes you feel like you're not good enough, when in reality, you're just stuck in a loop of overthinking. Let's take another example. Imagine someone who keeps cleaning their room again and again. Not because it's dirty, but because one pillow isn't straight. Or one cup is slightly out of place. To everyone else, the room looks fine. But to them, it's not perfect. So they keep fixing and fixing until they're exhausted. Again, that's perfectionism. And now think about how this affects your English learning. You might know the vocabulary. You understand grammar. You've listened to podcasts. But when it's time to speak, you freeze. You think, what if I say it wrong? What if I make a grammar mistake? What if they laugh at me? So you stay silent. But here's the truth. Silence doesn't help you grow. Practice does. Speaking even with mistakes is what helps your brain learn. It's what builds your confidence. Without mistakes, there is no learning. Mistakes are your teachers. They are not your enemy. They are your guides. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever avoided starting a new project because you didn't feel ready? Maybe you thought, I'll start when I know more. I'll speak when I feel more confident. I'll try later when I'm better. That sounds smart. But often it's perfectionism in disguise. Because the truth is you become better by starting, not by waiting. So here's the key message I want you to remember from this first part. Perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Every step you take, even an imperfect one, is part of your journey forward. In the next part, we'll explore where perfectionism comes from. Why do so many people fall into it? What makes us fear mistakes so much? And how can we start to let go of that fear? I'll talk to you there. Stay with me. Now let's go even deeper. When you decide to quit social media, something unexpected happens. You start to feel bored. Really bored. And at first this can feel uncomfortable. But here's the truth. Boredom is not your enemy. It's actually a door. A door that opens up to your real mind. The part of you that thinks deeply, reflects, creates, and feels. You see, when you're bored, your brain starts to wander. It searches for something interesting to focus on. And without social media, it finally looks inward. This is when your true thoughts begin to come alive. Maybe you remember something important you forgot. Maybe you start imagining a project you've been wanting to do. Or maybe you realize you're not actually happy with how you're spending your time. These thoughts matter. They're the beginning of clarity. But when you're always scrolling, you never feel bored long enough to hear these thoughts. You interrupt them again and again until your brain stops trying. This is how we slowly lose touch with ourselves. Now, when people first quit social media, they often say, I don't know what to do with my time. That's completely normal. You've been filling every empty moment with your phone. So when it's gone, it feels like a hole. But that hole isn't a problem. It's an invitation. An invitation to explore. Think about it like this. If you stopped eating junk food every day at first, you might feel a little hungry, a little unsatisfied. But slowly, your body would start to crave real food. Healthy food. the kind that actually nourishes you. The same thing happens with your mind. Without the constant flood of content, your mind starts looking for something real. Maybe you go for a walk and notice how the air smells after the rain. Maybe you read a book and actually feel calm. Maybe you sit and listen to music, not as background noise, but as the main thing, and you start to feel alive again. This is the beauty of quitting social media. It's not about cutting something out, it's about making space. Space to think, space to grow, space to truly live. Of course, it's not always easy. Your brain might crave the quick hit of excitement that social media gives you. That little buzz of pleasure when someone likes your post or leaves a comment. This is how social media is designed. It rewards your brain with dopamine, the same chemical that makes you feel good when you eat chocolate or win a game. But the problem is this reward system becomes addictive. You start checking your phone not because you want to, but because you feel like you have to. And over time, your brain starts to expect these quick rewards all the time. It forgets how to enjoy slow things, like reading deep conversations, or just sitting quietly with your thoughts. That's why when you quit social media, the first few days or even weeks can feel difficult. You might feel restless. You might want to reach for your phone, even when you don't know why. But if you stay strong, something amazing begins to happen. Your brain starts to reset. You begin to enjoy longer moments again. Your attention span grows. You can read an entire page without your mind jumping. You can sit through a conversation without checking your phone. You begin to feel present, fully present. And that more than anything is what changes your life. You start to realize that most of what you were consuming online wasn't actually helping you. It was just keeping you distracted. Distracted from your goals. Distracted from your emotions. Distracted from your life. And when that distraction is gone, your real self has space to return. The self that dreams. The self that creates. The self that feels. This is also the time when many people rediscover hobbies or interests they had forgotten about. You might start drawing again, writing, playing an instrument, learning a language, gardening, cooking. These are not just hobbies. They are parts of your identity that have been waiting for space to grow. You also start connecting with people differently. Conversations become more meaningful. You're not just talking to someone while scrolling. You're really listening. You're really sharing. This kind of attention builds stronger relationships, ones that make you feel seen, not just liked. And speaking of likes, you begin to care less about them. You stop measuring your value by how many hearts or thumbs up you get. Instead, you start measuring your life by something deeper, how you feel when you wake up in the morning, how connected you feel to your values, how much time you spend doing things that matter. You see, quitting social media isn't about escaping the world. It's about returning to it. The real world. The one where your life is actually happening. The one where the sky changes colors, where people smile at you, where your thoughts are your own. Yes, it can be hard to leave social media behind, especially when everyone else is still there. You might feel like you're missing out. But the truth is, most of what you're missing is noise. Endless updates, arguments, ads, comparisons, pressure. And what you gain in return is peace, clarity, focus, creativity, and most importantly, control. Control over your time, your attention, your energy, and your mind. That's what quitting social media gives you. And as you continue on this path, something else begins to happen. You start building a new life, one that isn't shaped by algorithms, but by intention. You see, when people speak naturally, they often don't speak the way you see in textbooks. Real-life English is messy, full of contractions, reductions, pauses, and even incomplete sentences. This is why understanding real conversations can feel like decoding a secret language. Now let's talk about one of the biggest differences between textbook English and real English connected speech. In real conversations, native speakers don't pronounce every word clearly. Instead, they link words together. This makes the speech smoother and faster, but it can also make it hard to catch individual words. Let me give you an example. Take the phrase, "What are you doing?" In a textbook, each word is clear. What are you doing? But in real conversation, it becomes, "What you doing?" Sounds different, right? This kind of speech is natural and very common. If you're not used to it, you might think they're saying a completely different sentence. Another example I'm going to eat. Textbook English, I am going to eat. Real English, I'm gonna eat. Understanding these patterns will help you hear the real meaning, even when it sounds fast or different. And the best way to get used to this is through listening, a lot of listening. That's why shadowing and listening practice are so powerful. The more you listen to real English, the more familiar these sounds become. You'll start to notice that you don't need to catch every single word, you just need to understand the idea. And here's another important point in conversation: not every word matters equally. Some words carry more meaning, and others are just there for grammar. For example, in the sentence, "I've been waiting for you for an hour." The most important words are "waiting you hour." The rest, "I've been for an," are less important for understanding the message. So when native speakers talk quickly, they stress the important words and reduce the others. This means that even if you miss a few sounds or words, you can still understand the meaning if you listen for the right things. Now, let's talk about your brain. When you listen to English, your brain is trying to process new sounds, new vocabulary, and new grammar all at once. That's a lot, especially if you only study English a few times a week. But here's something amazing: the brain is built to adapt. The more you expose yourself to English sounds, especially natural spoken English, the more your brain starts to recognize the patterns. At first, it feels like a blur, but slowly things begin to make sense. You begin to hear where one word ends and another begins. You start to understand words that you used to miss. You stop translating in your head, and you just understand. But this only happens if you stay consistent. Think about this like training for a sport. You wouldn't expect to run a marathon after jogging twice a month, right? The same goes for English. If you only listen to English once in a while, your brain won't build the strength it needs. So what should you do? The answer is simple but powerful. Listen every day, even if it's just 10 minutes. make English listening part of your daily life. While you're walking, while you're cooking, while you're sitting on the bus. And don't worry if you don't understand everything. Understanding is the goal, not the starting point. Even native speakers don't understand every single word in fast conversations. What matters is building the habit, staying with it, and allowing your brain to adjust over time. And remember, the more you listen, the better your speaking will become too. Because speaking and listening are connected. When you hear English more clearly, you can speak it more confidently. Let's also talk about accents for a moment. Many English learners feel bad because they think they must sound like a native speaker. But here's the truth. You don't need a native accent to be a great English speaker. Your goal is clarity, not perfection. Think about how many people in the world speak English with different accents. Indian English, Nigerian English, Vietnamese English, Brazilian English, and still communicate powerfully. Your accent tells your story. Don't hide it, own it. Just focus on being clear, confident, and kind when you speak. That's what people remember. And when you listen to native speakers, try not to copy the exact accent, but copy the rhythm, the intonation, the flow. That's what makes you sound more natural, not changing your voice, but changing how you use it. To build this rhythm, you can use shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to English and repeat it immediately like an echo. It helps your mouth and brain get used to the natural speed and rhythm of English. Start slow. Choose something short. Repeat it again and again until your tongue feels comfortable. Then move on to something longer. It's like training your ears and your muscles at the same time. And guess what? You don't need a fancy course. You already have everything you need. Your ears, your voice, and a little bit of time every day. Let English become your daily rhythm. Not something you force, but something you enjoy. Let it play in the background while you wash dishes. Let it become part of your world. Because when English becomes part of your world, it becomes part of you. Now, think about this. In today's world, we're often more focused on how things look than how they actually feel. Social media has made it easy to post beautiful pictures, funny videos, and exciting updates. But many people are only showing the best parts of their lives. Behind the scenes, they might feel lonely, anxious, or unsure about their direction in life. That's where a big problem begins. We compare ourselves to what we see on the screen. We think, wow, they're doing great. Why am I not that happy? Why isn't my life that exciting? But remember, most of what we see online is a highlight reel. The best moments only. You're not seeing the full picture. You're not seeing the hours they spent editing the photo, or the days they felt sad but didn't share it. This comparison game is dangerous. It tricks your brain into believing that you're behind, that you're not good enough, that you have to catch up. And the more you scroll, the worse it gets. You don't even realize how much your self-worth starts to depend on likes, views, or followers. And here's the truth. The more you seek validation online, the less you trust your own voice. You stop listening to what you actually enjoy or believe. Instead, you follow trends. You post what you think people will like. You change your opinion because you're afraid of being judged. Slowly, without even noticing, you lose a little piece of your identity every time. Now let's talk about time, your most valuable resource. Think about how many hours you've spent just scrolling. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. It adds up. At the end of the week, maybe you've spent 5, 10, even 15 hours just looking at content that didn't teach you anything or help you grow. That's time you could have spent learning something new, talking to a friend, going for a walk, or just relaxing without a screen. And don't forget about your attention. Every time you switch from one post to another, from one app to the next, your brain gets used to being distracted. You find it harder to sit still and focus. It becomes difficult to read a book, finish a project, or even watch a full movie without picking up your phone. Your attention span becomes shorter. And that's not a small problem. It affects your ability to learn to create and to connect deeply with others. Now, here's something even more serious. Studies have shown that social media can increase feelings of anxiety and depression, especially in young people. When you're always online, always connected, you start to feel pressure to respond quickly, to stay updated, to keep up with everyone. You feel like you can never really rest, never really disconnect. And when something negative happens online, like a rude comment or a post that makes you feel insecure, it stays with you. You might carry that feeling for hours or even days. It interrupts your mood, your sleep, your confidence. Social media is not just a fun distraction. It has a real impact on your emotions, your relationships, and your brain. But here's the part. Many people forget you have the power to choose. You're not stuck. You can take control of your time, your focus, and your energy. You can decide what kind of content you consume. You can choose to unfollow accounts that make you feel bad and follow ones that inspire you or help you learn. You can set limits. You can say, I'll check my phone after lunch, or I'll turn off my notifications in the evening. You can try a day without social media just to see how it feels. Many people are surprised at how calm and focused they become when they step away from their screens, even for a few hours. And no, you don't have to quit everything completely. Social media is not all bad. It can be a great way to learn to share and to stay connected when you use it on your terms. When you're not just reacting to everything, but using it with intention. So ask yourself, what am I missing when I spend so much time online? Am I avoiding something in real life? Am I afraid of boredom, silence, or discomfort? These are powerful questions because once you understand why you're using social media, you can start to change how you use it. And the good news, every small change makes a difference. Even if you start with just 1 hour less each day, that's 7 extra hours a week. That's enough time to read a book, take a class, learn a new skill, or reconnect with yourself. It's more than enough time to build a life that feels real, not just one that looks good on a screen. You deserve more than just likes and comments. You deserve peace of mind, real friendships, and a sense of purpose. And those things aren't found through endless scrolling. They're found when you take a step back, breathe, and choose a different path. One that's quieter, slower, and more meaningful. And remember, growth in English is not always obvious at first. Sometimes the words don't come out the way you imagined. You might make mistakes or freeze up when speaking. But those moments are part of the process. Every small effort you make is building something inside you: confidence, fluency, and a sense of ease with the language. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at English," change that thought to, "I'm getting better every day." That one shift can change how you feel and how much effort you're willing to give. It turns learning into something exciting rather than scary. Let's talk more about embracing imperfections. Native speakers make grammar mistakes too. They forget words. They say and all the time. So why do you feel like you have to speak perfectly? You don't. What matters is that you keep talking, even if it's messy. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about continuing, even when you're not. One great way to practice this is to speak out loud to yourself. For example, when you're cooking, try saying in English what you're doing. "I'm cutting the vegetables. Now I'm turning on the stove. I'm adding some salt." This kind of casual self-talk builds fluency and helps your brain get used to forming sentences naturally. You're training your mind to think in English, and that's powerful. Another useful strategy is reflective speaking. At the end of the day, take a few minutes to talk about what happened in English. It might sound like this: "Today was busy. I went to work, had a meeting, and ate lunch with my friend. We talked about her vacation. Then I came home and watched a movie." It's simple, it's real, and it helps you practice using English in your own life. Now, let's go a little deeper into mindset. You might think confidence comes from results, like getting a high score on a test, or finally having a long conversation in English. And yes, those things help. But true confidence often starts with your attitude, not the outcome. You build confidence by showing up every day, even if you're tired, even if you're frustrated. You build it by taking small risks, answering a question in class, joining a conversation online, or asking for directions in English when you travel. Each time you do something slightly uncomfortable, you grow. You push your limits. And over time, those small wins add up to something big. Let's also talk about comparison. It's easy to look at others and feel like you're behind. Maybe you see someone your age speaking fluently and think, "Why am I not like that?" But learning is not a race. You don't know how long they've been practicing. You don't know their background or how much effort they've put in. And more importantly, you are not them. You're on your own path. Stay focused on your journey. Progress looks different for everyone. Here's a little tip: track your wins. Write down the small victories. Today, I ordered coffee in English, and the barista understood me. I watched a whole YouTube video in English and understood 70%. I remembered a new word while speaking without thinking. These little things might feel too small to matter, but they're not. When you look back after a month, you'll realize just how far you've come. This builds your motivation and reminds you that your effort is working. Also surround yourself with English, not just during study time, but throughout your day. Put your phone in English. Follow English-speaking creators. Listen to podcasts while you walk. The more you hear and see the language, the more natural it becomes. But don't just consume, interact. Try to leave comments in English. Join forums or online communities. When you use English in real situations, it's not just practice, it becomes part of your life. And that's when fluency starts to grow faster. Finally, be kind to yourself. Learning a language is not easy. There will be days when you feel stuck. Days when you think I'll never be fluent. That's okay. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself why you started. Maybe it's for a better job. Maybe to travel. Maybe to make new friends, or just to feel proud of yourself. Whatever your reason, hold on to it. Let it push you forward when motivation feels low. And always remember, confidence doesn't mean you never feel fear. It means you keep going even when fear shows up. You have everything it takes to speak English with confidence. Not someday, now. Just keep showing up, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. The rest will come one word, one conversation, one day at a time.